had 3 rules for the woman he claimed to love. Absolute loyalty because it was a one-woman man, intimacy without condom to prove trust, and a monthly ritual where he would buy them new panties and dispose them himself. Amara believed she was the center of his world, the only one he trusted with his peculiar ways. But the truth was far darker. There were 7 other women, all living under the same rules, each sending him pictures of themselves wearing the very panties he circulated among them. Tunde carefully crafted lies were bound to implode, and Amara held the match. It was a beautiful Thursday evening in Lekki, and Amara found herself staring at a breathtaking painting. The soft hum of conversations, the clink of wine glasses, and the subtle scent of fresh paint filled the air. This was her moment, a chance to mingle with the elites, showcase her creativity, and perhaps meet someone who could help her climb the ladder of success in the competitive world of design. The gallery, located in the heart of Lekki, exuded elegance. Bold abstract painting lined the walls, and sculptures stood proudly under bright spotlights. Amara couldn't help but feel inspired. She had worked hard to get here, and tonight she was determined to make it count. As she sipped her champagne, her eyes fell on a tall, well-dressed man across the room. His sharp suit, confident stance, and easy smile made him stand out. He seemed to command attention effortlessly. Just as she looked away, their eyes met. His gaze lingered for a moment before he began walking towards her. "Hi," he said, his deep voice smooth and inviting. "I am Tunde, and you are?" "Amara," she replied, her heart skipping slightly. There was something magnetic about him. "I noticed you admiring that painting," he said, nodding towards a bold piece of art nearby. "What do you think the artist was trying to say?" Amara smiled, feeling the spark of an engaging conversation. "It feels like chaos, but there is also balance. Like life, I guess. Messy, but somehow it works." Tunde chuckled. "That's a great way to put it. You must be an artist." "I am a designer," she said, warming up to him. "And you?" "I dabble in business," he said with mysterious smile. "A little bit of everything." Their conversation flowed easily, from art to travel to the best jollof rice spots in Lagos. Tunde had a way of making her feel like she was the only person in the room. When he excused himself to get more drinks, Amara couldn't help but feel intrigued. He was charming, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in her. As she stood alone for a moment, an older woman in colorful gele approached her. Her face was kind, but her tone was serious. "Be careful, my dear," the woman said quietly. "Not everyone here is who they seem." Amara blinked in surprise. "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" The woman shook her head and smiled faintly. "Just watch yourself, that's all." With that, she disappeared into the crowd, leaving Amara unsettled. When Tunde returned with their drinks, his smile wiped away her doubts. The night flew by in a whirlwind of laughter and conversation. By the time they exchanged numbers and said goodnight, Amara felt like she had stepped into the first chapter of a thrilling new story. As she rode home in her cab, she thought about the stranger's word but brushed them aside. Tonight had been perfect. What could possibly go wrong? For 3 days, Amara's phone buzzed almost non-stop with texts and calls from Tunde. Each message carried a mix of humor, charm, and just mystery to keep her intrigued. Late at night, their conversations would stretch for hours, delving into everything from their childhood dreams to favorite songs. By the 3rd evening, she was practically floating when he sent the message. "Let me take you to somewhere special tomorrow. 8 p.m. I'll pick you up." She smiled at her screen, her heart racing. She quickly replied, "Can't wait." The following evening, Tunde arrived right on time in a sleek black car, dressed in a tailored navy suit. He looked every bit the part of a man who had his life together. Amara, in a flowing red dress, felt butterflies as she slid into the passenger seat. "I hope you are ready for this," he said, flashing a smile that was almost a challenge. They pulled up to an upscale rooftop restaurant, perched high above the city with a stunning view of the ocean. Twinkling fairy lights lined the edge of the open-air terrace, and the soft notes of live jazz music floated in the air. Amara took it all in. her breath catching at the sheer elegance of the setting. "This is beautiful," she said, as Tunde held out the chair for her. "Not as beautiful as you are," he replied smoothly, his voice warm. The night unfolded like something out of a romantic movie. Over glasses of crisp white wine and three-course meal, Tunde was at his most charismatic. He told stories of his business, hinting at success but never boasting outright. From investing in tech startups to overseeing luxury real estate deals, his life seems like a whirlwind of adventure and achievements. "I like to keep busy," he said with a grin, swallowing his wine. "But it's nice to slow down and spend time with someone who gets it, someone like you." Amara felt her cheeks heat up. It had been so long since anyone made her feel this seen, this special. As they talked, Tunde skillfully turned the focus back on her, asking about her design work and her dreams for the future. He listened intently, his dark eyes locked on hers, as though her words were the only thing that mattered. "I have no doubt you'll make it big," he said, leaning back with confident smile. "You've got the talent and the determination." Amara couldn't help but feel swept up in his words. His confidence was intoxicating, but it was the way he made her feel, valued, respected, and utterly captivating, that left her speechless. After dinner, they moved to the edge of the terrace to take in the view. The city lights sparkled below them, and the ocean stretched out endlessly in distance. "Thank you for tonight," Amara said softly. "It's been perfect." Tunde turned to her, his face lit by the soft glow of the flaring lights. "It's just the beginning," he said. As they stood there, the cool breeze mingling with the warmth of their connection, Amara felt like she was standing on the edge of something life-changing. And yet, in the back of her mind, a faint echo of the stranger's warning whispered, "Be careful." But under the spell of Tunde's charm and the beauty of the night, she let it fade into the background, choosing to savor the magic of the moment instead. Amara leaned back into the plush cushion of Tunde's leather couch, a glass of red wine in hand. The soft glow of dimmed lights cast a warm ambience across his luxurious apartment. Every corner of the space screamed sophistication. Abstract art adorned the walls, shelves displayed rare books and designer trinkets, and the faint scent of vanilla lingered in the air. "You live like a king," Amara said, her eyes roaming over the room. Tunde chuckled as he joined her, sitting close enough that their nails touched. "I like simplicity." He looked at her with intensity that made her heart flutter. "Kind of like you." She laughed softly, brushing off the compliment, but her cheek warmed. It was easy to feel special around today, like she belonged in the world of polished floors and fine wines. As they talked, their conversation shifted from light banter to deeper topics about relationship and trust. Tunde's tone grew serious as he leaned forward, his elbow resting on his knees. "Amara, I really like where this is going," he began, his eyes locking onto hers. "But if we are going to take this to the next level, there are a few things I need to be clear about." Amara's smile flattered. "Okay, there are some rules I live by," he said, his voice steady. "Things that are non-negotiable for me in a relationship." "Rules?" she asked, tilting her head. "Yes," he said with a faint smile. "Let me explain." He held her gaze as he began, his tone calm but firm. "First, I am a one-woman man. Absolute loyalty. No games, no distractions, no unnecessary drama. I give my all, and I expect the same in return." Amara nodded slowly. "That didn't sound unreasonable." "Second," he continued, "I believe intimacy is about trust. No barriers, no doubt. That means no condoms. If we are together, we should trust each other completely." Her stomach flipped slightly at that, but he reached out for her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. "I know it sounds bold," he said, sensing her hesitation, "but it is a testament to how serious I am about you. Trust is everything to me." She bit her lip, uncertain but not wanting to disrupt the moment. And finally, he said, leaning back with a faint smile, "A small ritual. I like my woman changing their panties every month, and I'll be the one to buy you the new panties, and I'll personally dispose the old one. It's just a quirk of mine, a way of staying connected and marking a fresh start each month." Amara blinked, her mind racing. The idea was strange, bothering, but Tunde remained calm, as though he had just mentioned something as simple as a dinner date. "That's different," she said carefully. Tunde chuckled. "I know, but it's something that is important to me, and I promise you'll feel nothing but adored and cherished." Amara's unease lingered, but she found herself nodding. Tunde's wealth, his devotion, and the way he made her feel. Surely these things outweighed a few odd rules. "I just want us to build something real," he added, his voice soft but firm. "No lies, no barriers, just us." Amara took a deep breath, her doubt melting under the intensity of his gaze. "Okay," she said, her voice quiet but resolute. "I trust you." Tunde smiled, his expression triumphant but tender. "You won't regret it." As the evening wore on, and they shared more laughter and wine, Amara pushed her unease to the back of her mind. Tunde's world was unfamiliar, yes, but maybe this was what it took to be with someone extraordinary. Yet, as she lay in his arm that night, the thought lingered like a faint shadow. What have I just agreed to? Amara couldn't remember the last time she had felt so cherished. Every morning began with a sweet text from Tunde. Good morning messages filled with compliments and little jokes that made her smile before her feet even touched the floor. By the time she got to work, a surprise often awaited her. A bouquet of roses delivered to her desk, a box of artisan chocolates, or even a handwritten note tucked inside her handbag. "I miss you already," one note read in his elegant handwriting. "Counting the hours until I can see you again." The gestures were intoxicating. Every detail of her life seems to shine brighter with Tunde in it. Weekends became luxurious escapes to her high-end spas or spontaneous shopping sprees, where he insisted she pick whatever caught her eyes. "Don't hold back," he would say with a charming grin. "You deserve the best." Her wardrobe now included designer dresses, sparkling jewelry, and a pair of heels so expensive that she had to Google the brand to believe their worth. Each date felt like a dream. A private yacht dinner one evening, a helicopter ride over Lagos another. With Tunde, her world felt larger, more glamorous and full of possibilities. He didn't just shower her with material gifts, he gave her attention. The way he listened, the way he made her laugh, it all felt perfect, but not everyone saw it that way. "You need to slow down, Amara," Efe said one evening as they sipped cocktail at their favorite spot. Amara had just finished telling her about the diamond bracelet Tunde had surprised her with that morning. "Slow down?" Amara frowned. "Why? He is amazing. Efe, he is everything I ever wanted." Efe gave her a skeptical look. "I'm not saying he's not charming, but don't you think it's all just too much? The gifts, the constant attention, the rules you mentioned, it sounds like he's trying to control you." "Control me?" Amara laughed, though the sound was forced. "Efe, you're overreacting. Tunde is just different. He knows what he wants and is clear about it. That's not control, it's honesty." Efe sighed, setting down her glass. "I'm just saying, be careful. Sometimes people hide their real selves behind all these shiny things." Amara waved her off. "You are always so suspicious. Not every guy is a walking red flag, you know." Efe's lip tightened, but she let it go. "All right," she said quietly. "Just don't lose yourself in all of this." That night, as Amara returned to her apartment and found another gift waiting for her, a pair of custom-made earrings accompanied by yet another heartfelt note, she couldn't stop smiling. Efe didn't understand. This wasn't control. It was love. Real, intense, all-consuming love, wasn't it? She slipped the earring on, feeling the cool metal against her skin, and dismissed Efe's warning. Tunde made her feel like a queen in the world of paupers. How could anything that felt so right possibly be wrong? And yet, somewhere deep in her chest, the faintest flicker of doubt refused to be extinguished. The first signs were small, so small that Amara barely noticed them. One evening, as she sat in Tunde's living room scrolling through Instagram, he leaned over her shoulder, his voice casual but firm. "Who is that guy liking all your posts?" Amara blinked, gazing at the screen. "Oh, that's David. We worked together on a design project last year. He's just a colleague." Tunde's lips curved into a tight smile, but his eyes held something colder. I don't like the way he keeps popping up on your profile. Maybe you should unfollow him. Tunde, it's nothing. We barely talk. He leaned back on the couch, his arm draped over the backrest. Still, just to avoid misunderstanding, you don't need unnecessary distractions. The words hung in the air. Though his tone was calm, there was an edge to it that made Amara feel uneasy, but she brushed it off, telling herself it was just his way of showing he cared. A few days later, Amara noticed another shift. Tunde started taking longer to reply her messages. Calls would go unanswered for hours, and when he finally picked, his tone was hurried, dismissive. "Sorry babe," he would say, his voice smooth but detached. "I've been in back-to-back meetings. You know how it is." At first, she believed him. Tunde was a busy man with a lot on his plate, but the excuses became more frequent and the cracks in his stories began to show. One evening, after waiting hours for him to call back, Amara finally confronted him during dinner. "Tunde, you've been so distant lately. Is everything okay? Are you stressed about work?" He looked up from his plate, his expression unreadable. "Of course I'm okay. Why would you even ask that?" "You've been acting different," she said hesitantly. "You hardly answer my calls anymore, and when I ask about your day, you just brush it off." Tunde sighed, leaning back in his chair. "Amara, I told you I'm handling a lot right now. I don't need you doubting me on top of everything else." Her stomach tightened. The warmth and charm that had drawn her to him were replaced by an icy wall of defensiveness. "I'm not doubting you," she said softly. "I just want to understand what is going on." He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. His grip was firm, almost too firm. "There is nothing to understand. You're overthinking again. Just trust me." It wasn't just the way he dodged questions about work. Tunde began questioning her every move. "Who were you with this afternoon?" he asked one night, scrolling through her Instagram stories. "Efe," she replied, surprised. "You know she's my best friend." "I know, but she's always in your ear about me. Don't you think she's jealous of what we have?" Amara frowned. "Efe is just protective. She wants me to be happy." Tunde shook his head, a faint smile on his lips. "Protective or controlling? You don't need people filling your head with doubts. You should focus on us, not other people's opinion." Amara nodded, though unease pickled at the back of her mind. She didn't want to admit it, but Efe's concerns were starting to echo in her thoughts. The final straw came one night when Amara stood by Tunde's apartment unannounced. She had wanted to surprise him with a dinner after a long day, but when she arrived, the lights were off and the sky was gone. She called him, her heart sinking when it went straight to voicemail. Hours passed before he finally called back. "Babe, where are you?" she asked, relief mixed with frustration. "Out with a client," he said quickly. "Why?" "I went to your place. I thought I would surprise you, but you weren't there." There was a long pause before he replied. "Amara, I don't need you checking up on me. I am a grown man. You need to trust me." Her chest tightened. "I'm not checking up on you. I just wanted to spend time with you, and I told you I'm busy." He snapped. "Let me do what I need to do." The line went dead, leaving Amara staring at her phone in stunned silence. As the day went on, the cracks in their relationship grew wider. The once charming today now seems distant and guarded. His words often cutting, his actions unpredictable. Amara tried to hold on to the fairy tale she had believed in, but doubts read in her mind like storm clouds. For the first time, she wondered if Efe had been right all along. What is Tunde hiding? One afternoon, as Amara was knocking on Tunde's apartment door, his neighbor, Mama Nkechi, emerged from hers. The older woman, known for her sharp eye and quiet behavior, paused to greet her. "Ha, Amara, my dear," she said warmly. "Your boyfriend, that fine man, I saw him the other evening." Amara smiled, adjusting her pause. "Yes, Tunde." Mama Nkechi nodded, but her expression turned cautious. But the last time I saw him, he brought in another woman. Was that your sister?" Amara froze, her smile flattering. "What woman?" The older woman shrugged, her tone casual but pointed. "Tall, Slim, light-skinned, they both went upstairs together late at night. Amara felt her chest tighten, but she quickly masked her reaction. Oh, must have been a misunderstanding. Thanks, Mama Nkechi. As she walked away, her mind raced. When she confronted Tunde that evening, he laughed it up, wrapping her in a warm hug. Babe, don't let gossip get to you, he said smoothly. You know you are the only one for me. Amara wanted to believe him. His touch was reassuring, his voice soothing, but deep down, the seed of doubt had been planted and it was already growing. It was a quiet afternoon at Tunde's apartment, and Amara decided to surprise him by tidying up. As she dusted shelves and rearranged books, she noticed a closet door slightly ajar. Curious, she pushed it open to reveal rows of neatly arranged suits, shoes, and oddly, an unmarked box tucked away in the corner. Amara hesitated. Tunde was always particular about his space, but something about the box piqued her curiosity. She pulled it out, her heart pounding as she lifted the lid. Inside, neatly folded and arranged by colors, were panties. Her panties. Her heart skipped a beat as she stared, unable to believe what she was seeing. These were the ones she thought he had disposed as part of his ritual, but they were meticulously stored like trophies. When Tunde returned later, Amara was waiting in the living room, the box on the coffee table between them. What is this, Tunde? She asked, her voice trembling. He glanced at the box, his expression unreadable, and then smiled faintly. Babe, you're overreacting. Overreacting? She snapped. You told me you were throwing them away. Why are you keeping them? Tunde sat down calmly, his tone soothing but unsettling. Amara, it's not what you think. These are keepsakes, reminder of our connection. Something intimate between us. It's sentimental. Her stomach churned. Sentimental? This is twisted, Tunde. He leaned forward, his voice softening. Babe, you mean so much to me. This is just my way of cherishing us. Why are you making it a big deal? Don't you trust me? His words made her pause. The same charm that had drawn her in now felt suffocating, but part of her still wanted to believe him. I don't know, she whispered, her unease growing. Tunde reached for her hand, his gaze steady. Amara, don't let small things ruin what we have. I love you. Isn't that enough? She nodded slowly, though the knot in her stomach tightened. The box stayed hidden in the closet, but it lingered in her mind like a dark shadow she couldn't ignore. Despite her unease, Amara remained emotionally attached to Tunde, convincing herself that love sometimes required compromise. But deep down, she knew this wasn't the last time she would question him and herself. It started with a phone call, one Amara wasn't meant to hear. Tunde had stepped out to pick up the phone, but his voice carried through the slightly open balcony door. Amara, busy tidying up the living room, froze as she caught snippets of the conversation. Yes, I will see you tomorrow, he said. His tone low but charming. Remember to wear that black lace ones I sent you. They look perfect on you. Amara's chest tightened. Her hands trembled as she listened to his smooth, familiar voice. Black lace ones, she thought. A sickening feeling spread through her as she remembered him asking her to wear a similar pair and sent him a picture just weeks ago. When Tunde returned inside, he kissed her cheek casually as though nothing had happened. When the unease lingered, refusing to let go. Later that night, while he showered, Amara reached for his phone, her hands shaking. She knew his passcode. He had given it to her months ago to prove his trustworthiness. But as the screen unlocked, she felt an overwhelming dread, as though she were about to unearth something far darker than she could imagine. The messages in his WhatsApp confirmed her worst fears. There were conversations with multiple women, all following the same pattern. Each woman sent photos of themselves wearing panties Tunde had gifted them, complete with flexy captions. Do you like this, baby? Just like you asked. Wearing this for you tonight. Can't wait to see you. Amara's heart skipped when she recognized some of the panties in the pictures. They weren't just familiar, they were hers. Once he thought he had discarded as part of the ritual. Scrolling further, she found pictures of the same panties on the women, each posing as if they were personal gifts from him. The realization hit her hard like a punch to the guts. Tunde had been circulating her used panties among these women, turning their intimacy into a twisted game. Her heart raced as she put the pieces together. Every month, he made her believe the ritual was about connection and trust, only to use her discarded items as a tool to manipulate other women. Tears blurred her vision as she saw more messages. "You are the only one for me. I trust you like no one else." He had sent the same lines to all of them, word for word. By the time Tunde stepped out of the shower, Amara was sitting on the edge of his bed, his phone clutched in her hand. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. "What's wrong, babe?" he asked. She held up the phone, her voice trembling with rage. "What is this, Tunde? Who are all these women, and why are they wearing my panties?" For the first time, his composure cracked. A flicker of panic crossed his face before he quickly recovered, forcing a calm smile. "Amara, you've got it all wrong. It's not what it looks like." Her voice rose. "Not what it looks like? You've been lying to me, to all of them. You've been passing my used panties around like they are trophies." Tunde stepped closer, his tone soothing but condescending. "Amara, calm down. You're overreacting. It's nothing serious. Just a bit of fun. Something harmless." "Harmless?" She spat, standing up, her body shaking with fury. "You've been using me, humiliating me. How could you do this?" He reached for her arm, but she pulled away. His voice turned cold. "You are being dramatic. I've given you everything, and this is how you repay me, by snooping through my phone and jumping to conclusions." Amara stared at him, her heart shattering into pieces. The man she thought she loved wasn't just deceitful. He was calculating, manipulative, and disturbingly cruel. She dropped his phone on the bed and grabbed her bag. Her legs weak, but her resolve strong. "I'm done, Tunde," she said, her voice breaking. "Don't ever contact me again." As she walked out of the door, his voice followed her, smooth and chilling. "You will regret this, Amara. No one will ever love you like I do." But as the door slammed behind her, Amara knew one thing for sure. She was finally free from his twisted web of lies. And now, she needed to figure out how to expose the truth. Amara sat in the sterile right room, staring at the test results in her hand. The doctor's voice was calm but firm as he explained. "It's chlamydia, but don't worry, it's treatable. I'll prescribe antibiotics and you will need to inform your partner to get tested as well." Her heart pounded in her chest, each word hitting her like a hammer. Chlamydia. She thought back to Tunde's insistence on intimacy without protection, his talk of trust and connection. It had all been a lie. "Are you okay, Miss Amara?" the doctor asked gently. She nodded stiffly, unable to speak, her mind raised, fury building with each passing seconds. Tunde had not only lied and manipulated her, he had put her health at risk, and who knew how many other women he had done this to. By the time she got home, Amara was sitting with rage. Her hands trembled as she paced her living room, replaying every deceptive word Tunde had ever said. "You can trust me. It's just us. I will never hurt you." The memories now felt like poison, eating her away. She couldn't sit still. She needed to act, to do something that would make him face the consequences of his actions. Amara grabbed her laptop and opened Tunde's WhatsApp chats. She had taken screenshots of his conversations with other women before leaving his apartment, evidence she hoped she would never visit. But now, she scrolled through the messages with fresh eyes, her anger fueling her determination. Each message was another stab in her chest. Sweet words, fake promises, and pictures of women in panties he had circulated like trophies. He had treated them all like objects, playing the same cruel game over and over. That night, Amara sat down with a pen and paper. She made a list of every woman she could identify from Tunde's chat. There were at least 9 names, each accompanied by a sickening memory of messages and photos she had seen. She had their numbers, and she had the truth. She dialed the first number. "Hello," came an excellent voice on the other end. "Hi, my name is Amara," she began, her voice steady but icy. "You don't know me, but I think we have something in common, Tunde." The woman gasped. Tunde, what about him? Amara took a deep breath. He's been lying to you, just like he lied to me. I have proof, and you might want to get tested for STIs. He gave me chlamydia. There was a long silence on the other end, followed by a trembling, "Oh my God!" One by one, Amara reached out to other women, sharing her story and evidence. Some were angry, others were devastated, but all of them shared a common reaction: betrayal. By the time she finished the last call, Amara felt a sense of clarity she hadn't had in weeks. The rage that had consumed her now replaced by determination. She wasn't just a victim, she was taking back her power. Tunde had played his twisted game for far too long, but now the women he had deceived were united, and Amara knew this was only beginning. As she stared at her phone, her mind raced with possibilities. Exposing him privately wasn't enough, not for what he had done. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about every woman who had fallen into his web, and every woman who could still be at risk. Tunde's lies were bigger than she had imagined. She couldn't rest until the whole world saw the truth. Her fingers hovering over her screen, her heart pounding with anticipation. There was no turning back now. She had evidence, she had allies, and she had a plan. The question wasn't if Tunde would follow, it was how hard. And just when you think you've seen it all, trust me, the real drama hasn't even started. What does Amara have planned? Will Tunde finally face justice? What do you think Amara has in plan? Comment your thoughts. This is just the beginning of an electrifying tale of vengeance and justice. Don't miss part 2. Subscribe now. Trust me, it only gets juicier from here. The lies have started to unravel, but the real drama is yet to come. Share your thoughts and stay tuned for what happens next. Share these stories with your friends. Thanks for watching. Naija Life Story, bringing life to every tales. Bye.